Linda's story began like 1,000 others whispered in the narrow streets of Lagos. She was young, desperate for a future her parents could not afford. When a smiling woman promised her a ticket to Europe, she clutched it like a dream. London, she had whispered to herself, already seeing the tall glass buildings and the shimmering possibility of wealth. But dreams often wear masks. When she opened her eyes after a long, confusing journey, it was not London, it was Mali. Dusty streets, suffocating heat, and a house that reeked of sweat and despair. The woman who took her became her madam. She forced Linda into prostitution. At first, Linda resisted. She cried, begged, and fought back. But her defiance was broken with lashes of electric wire, hunger, and humiliation so deep until she finally gave in. Every day, she was made to handle about 20 men. Her body was alive, but her spirit was broken. Nights blurred into days, and Linda became a doll moved from man to man. Her eyes dull, but her heart still clinging to a shred of hope. That shred arrived unexpectedly through a client. Unlike the rest, his gaze lingered with pity. One night, he whispered, "I will help you escape," and he did. She fled, broken but alive, across borders and oceans, until she stepped once again on Nigerian soil. Fate, it seemed, was kind. She met Chief Tene, a wealthy businessman who adored her. He never asked too many questions about her past, and she never volunteered answers. She wore her silence like a veil, hiding scars only her heart remembered. Marriage wrapped her in silk and gold, but shadows clung to her footsteps. For a while, her life was peaceful until the past came knocking. Her madam, now on the run from Malian police, surfaced in Nigeria. She knew Linda's secret and carried it like a knife pressed against her throat. "Pay me or I'll tell your husband." Linda paid, and paid again. But the blackmail only grew bolder. The madam's voice was venom over the phone. "Your husband will know who you really are, a whore of Mali." At last, tired and desperate, Linda decided to end it. One evening, Linda invited the madam into her mansion. Smiles, wine, laughter forced through clenched teeth. She had laced the drink with poison, her hands trembling as the madam swallowed. That day, Linda thought the nightmare was finally over. She pressed a bundle of crisp naira notes into the madam's greedy hands. Her smile tight, her heart racing with anticipation. At last, she whispered to herself as her madam left her mansion, "At last, I will be free." But poison is a silent storyteller, and its tale had only begun. That night, in a shabby apartment at the edge of Lagos, the madam clutched her stomach, her face pale with shock. Sweat streamed down her temples as her breaths grew shallow. In her final moments, fear stripped her arrogance. She staggered to her maid, grabbing her wrist with trembling fingers. "It was Linda," she gasped. "She poisoned me." Moments later, the madam was gone. The maid, terrified but loyal, ran to the police. For 3 days, Linda lived in false peace, wrapped in her husband's wealth, convinced the past had finally died with the woman who tormented her. But on the 3rd day, as the sun bled into the horizon, a knock shattered the silence of her mansion. 3 sharp and loud bangs on the door, then the heavy voice of authority. "Police, open up." Linda's heart plummeted. The wall seemed to close in as she was handcuffed before her stunned husband. Whispers rippled through the neighborhood. The chief's wife, a murderer. The investigation was long, and the evidence was clear. Linda's past in Mali was revealed, her silence exposed, and her desperate acts of murder stood against her. The court listened to her tears, her pain, her story of survival. But the law did not see her as a victim anymore, it saw her as a killer. The gavel fell like thunder. Guilty of murder, sentenced to death. Linda stood frozen, her world collapsing in echoes. The chains on her wrists felt heavier than those in Mali. She had dreamed of freedom, of love, of a life untouched by her scars. But now, the past had dragged her full circle to a darker cage, a harsher sentence. As the courtroom murmured, Linda lifted her eyes one last time to the heavens. Tears slid down her cheeks, not just for herself, but for the innocent girl who once believed in greener pastures. The verdict was final. The girl who had survived Mali, who had endured 20 men a day, who had clawed her way back to life, was now condemned by the poison of her own desperation to cover her secrets. And in the silence that followed, it became clear. Sometimes, the greatest prison is not the one built by others, but the one we forge with our own hands. Who's to be blamed here? What did you learn from this story? Please put your thoughts down in the comments. Like and subscribe. Thanks so much as you do so. See you in my next one. Bye.